All right, Algebra 1 crew. Moving on to section 3.3, which is solving inequalities using multiplication or division. This is just as simple as solving equations using multiplication or division, but there is just one little change, okay? And I'll do a few problems here, and you can see the change when we do it. All right, for instance, if we had a problem like negative x over 3 is less than negative 1, okay? We need to multiply by a negative 3 on both sides, all right? Now, because the number that we're moving, the number that we're multiplying is negative, it has nothing to do with this negative, all right? It has to do with the number that you're moving. If the number that you're moving, in this case we're multiplying on both sides, because it's negative, all right? Obviously, these are canceling, all right? So we're left with an x on the left-hand side, all right? But when we multiply or divide by a negative number, all right, we flip our inequality. All right, notice that our inequality went from less than to greater than, and we have a negative 1 times a negative 3, which is just 3. So your answer would be x is greater than 3, okay? Now, the same thing applies when we have division, all right? Division by a negative number. So let's say we have negative 3x is greater than or equal to 9. Once again, we have to divide both sides by a negative 3. All right? Because the number that we're moving, in this case we're dividing because it's negative, all right? We need to flip our inequality. All right, so instead of greater than or equal to, we now have less than or equal to. All right, so 9 divided by a negative 3 is negative 3. Okay, so x is less than or equal to negative 3. Once again, we had to flip the inequality because the number that we were dividing by on both sides is a negative number. Same thing with multiplication when we multiplied both sides, all right, by a negative number. All right, so I'm just going to pick a couple problems, all right? So how about 3m is greater than or equal to a negative 6? All right, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. And I have to ask myself, did I divide by a negative number? No, I did not. So my inequality stays the same. Negative 6 divided by 3 is a negative 2. So m would be greater than or equal to a negative 2. All right? How about negative 3 is less than x over 3? Well, we're going to multiply both sides by a 3. The number that I'm multiplying by is positive, so the inequality stays the same. 3 times negative 3, negative 9. All right? How about negative 2/3 x is greater than 2? Well, I need to multiply both sides by negative 3 over 2. All right, the reciprocal. The number that I'm multiplying on both sides, it is negative. So my inequality is going to flip, okay? So 2 times negative 3, that's a negative 6 all over 2. So x is less than negative 3 after I reduce that. All right, so hopefully this video helps. And we can do more problems too when we get together. But yeah, the only change here, we're still doing the same rules that we did with equations, except when we multiply both sides of the inequality or we divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, you must flip the inequality.